Hi, I'm Cece and welcome to my channel. I post videos once a week talking about various things that I care about or find interesting. I normally don't do this, but I will say that I worked really hard on this video because I just want to hopefully get it right. However, it will almost certainly be demonetized. So if you do want to like, comment, share for the algorithm, I would really appreciate that. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'm at CCMarisi. Yeah, I don't like long intros, so let's go ahead and get into it. Today I wanted to talk about OnlyFans and kind of unpack the phenomenon that it has become. So OnlyFans is a platform that was launched in 2016 by Tim Stokely that allows its users to place their content behind a paywall and charge a monthly subscription fee. It's very similar to Patreon, but the key difference is that OnlyFans does not censor its creators' content, or at least it has very lax censorship rules. Most other platforms like YouTube and Instagram have terms of service or community guidelines that say you can't post nudity and things like that, but OnlyFans does not. So naturally, that means the platform is well suited for sex workers or people who want to sell nudes online. OnlyFans has been steadily rising in popularity over the past few years, but the pandemic this year has also contributed to it growing hugely. When you think about it, the events of 2020 have kind of created a perfect storm for a platform like OnlyFans to explode. Economic anxiety is leading people to seek out new forms of income. People are at home, bored and isolated and unable to date or see their loved ones. And of course, many sex workers who previously did in-person sex work have migrated to the platform since they're not safely able to do their jobs in person right now. OnlyFans was already growing steadily before the pandemic, but it did report a 200% increase in traffic to the site between March and August of this year. And I think the popularity of this platform just represents a really interesting cultural shift that is taking place. People are beginning to be more accepting of sex work as a legitimate means of making an income, which is a big deal because historically it's been very taboo. So I want to do my best to paint a balanced picture of this platform and what it's really like. So I first want to address some of the pros of OnlyFans, some of the things that I think are unique and really good about it. The obvious advantage of OnlyFans is that unlike in the traditional porn industry, sex workers are able to be completely in charge of their own content. They can set their own prices, keep the majority of their own earnings. OnlyFans does take 20% of what creators earn, and it also does have set minimum and maximum monthly subscription fees. But for the most part, adult content creators on OnlyFans are able to create their own content and keep the majority of their own earnings. They can do or show as much or as little as they are comfortable with. Some OnlyFans creators do full-on, like what we would think of as more traditional pornography. Some of them just do photo shoots in lingerie, and that's pretty much it. They can charge what they want. One of my friends referred to it as farm-to-table porn, which is hilarious, but also really true. It's straight from the creator to the consumer, and I think that's a great thing because it really minimizes the risk of abuse and exploitation. The traditional porn industry is notoriously predatory on a couple of different levels. Pornhub, for example, is notoriously bad at protecting the people featured in its content. It has been known to leave up revenge porn, so content that has been stolen or leaked by ex-partners and posted without the consent of one or more of the people in it. I don't think I need to explain why that is absolutely disgusting and immoral. As far as the production side of things, many porn stars in the traditional industry are recruited very young. They are often pressured to do more and more extreme scenes in order to make more money, and they often have very short-lived careers. Mia Khalifa, am I saying that right? Yeah. Mia Khalifa is a former adult film star who has been very open about her negative experiences in the industry and the fact that she felt manipulated and taken advantage of as a 21-year-old. And while her experience is not necessarily representative of everyone's experience, I do think it's a really great thing for sex workers and people who want to create this type of content to have an alternative platform on which they are able to be totally in charge of their own content and keep most of their own profit. Another pro of OnlyFans is that creators can maintain a level of anonymity if they choose to. Now, this can be tricky, but there is the option of selling photos or videos that don't include your face. If a creator has identifying tattoos or birthmarks, they can choose to Photoshop that out. There are even some creators who opt to do audio-only content so that they can keep an even greater level of anonymity. And finally, perhaps the most obvious perk of OnlyFans is the money. Money is obviously a huge part of the motivation for a lot of creators to start an OnlyFans, and that is actually what I want to get into next. I want to talk about the realistic earning potential of an OnlyFans creator because I feel like there may be some misconceptions floating around about how much an average person can realistically expect to earn on the platform. If you've ever looked up OnlyFans on Twitter or YouTube, you have likely seen women talking about how much they've been able to earn, how they've been able to buy designer bags or even cars or houses using their OnlyFans money. It's very easy to get the idea that it's easy money and you can just sign up, upload some photos of yourself, and start making bank. So I wanted to know if there's any truth to this and what the average person can realistically hope to earn on OnlyFans. I was also really curious about why I was seeing so many OnlyFans creators trying to recruit for the site, advertising how easy it is and all the money they've made and how you should be doing it too. Because I would think that if you're having success on a monetized platform, you would not want other people to join because that would just further saturate the market. These content creators are recruiting their own competition basically, and that was confusing to me. It turns out that OnlyFans creators are heavily encouraged to recruit and that they actually get a referral bonus for every person who signs up using their code. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with this, I do think that it complicates things somewhat. It potentially incentivizes creators to glamorize the platform while downplaying the hard work that goes into it and also the struggles and downsides of being a sex worker. Now, I also don't want to demonize sex workers and say that they are intentionally misleading and lying to people in order to recruit. It should be noted that sex workers face a lot of stigma and criticism and judgment. And I think potentially these creators just really enjoy their jobs and have found great success on the platform and want to share the actual positive aspects of their jobs and not contribute to further stigma. But the reality is that OnlyFans is not easy money. There is typically a lot of work that goes into being successful on the platform: shooting quality content, editing your photos and videos, getting outfits and backdrops planned, advertising on other platforms. And when it comes to actual income, OnlyFans is very, very competitive. And it can be very difficult for the average person to make much money on the platform. OnlyFans actually makes it really hard to find income statistics for its creators. They don't publish an income disclosure statement or anything like that. I was able to find a few different unofficial sources just to get an idea. So grain of salt, because these are not official income disclosures from the platform or anything like that. But I was able to find some self-reported income disclosures, a few people who claim to have scraped the site's data to get a more comprehensive look at what creators make. And here are some of the numbers that I found. So a poll on Reddit from 2 months ago asked OnlyFans creators how much they make per month, and it got 295 responses. 46% reported that they make between $0 and $100 a month. 18% reported making between $100 and $300 per month. 13% reported making $300 to $1,000. 9% reported $1,000 to $2,000, and only 14% reported earnings of $2,000 plus. From this sample, at least, only 23% of creators made more than $1,000 a month. Creators in the top 1% are estimated to be making around $250,000 a month, but most sources say that the median income on OnlyFans is only around $136 to $180 per month. OnlyFans does also provide a calculator to help you estimate how much you could earn on the platform. You plug in what you plan to charge for your monthly fee and also the number of Instagram followers you have. So I put in 1,000 Instagram followers, which I feel like is a normal amount for like a non-famous, non-influencer person, and $10 per month, which is the average subscription price. It said you could earn between $100 and $500 per month. So that's a pretty wide range, but I do feel like these numbers show that if you're not coming to the website with an existing audience, it can be challenging to make a livable income, let alone a significant amount of money on the site. Basically, I bring this up because a lot of people seem motivated to join OnlyFans because of the possibility of making a lot of money. It's a good idea before joining OnlyFans to really do your research, look at the economics of the site as much as you can, get an idea of what your realistic earning potential is and the amount of work you're willing to put in, and then decide whether or not it's worth it to you. So a huge part of the reason that OnlyFans is so unequal, that we have this small number of top creators making 6 figures per month while others are making only hundreds of dollars a month, is because there are an increasing number of influencers and celebrities joining the platform. So many, in fact, that it has basically spawned an entire mini genre of YouTube video reviewing influencers and celebrities' OnlyFans pages. Celebrities and influencers who have joined OnlyFans include Bella Thorne, Tana Mongeau, Cardi B, Trisha Paytas, Caroline Calloway, and these creators do make really good money because they're able to bring their existing audience to OnlyFans. Whereas OnlyFans creators who are starting from scratch and have no existing following or only a small following are likely to have a much harder time and will have a very difficult time competing with these already famous people. Unsurprisingly, many of these celebrities and pseudo-celebrities have faced a lot of criticism for joining the platform. Most commonly, they have been accused of gentrifying the platform, of hopping on the bandwagon of sex work only now that it is trending. Already wealthy and famous people have an abject advantage on the platform. They are pushed to the top of the site's rankings and recommendations. They have thousands or millions of followers on their existing social media platforms to advertise to. They're approaching the platform from a position of social and financial privilege while potentially pushing out people who have worked up from the bottom and who depend on it for their livelihood. A great example of why people are upset with celebrities joining OnlyFans is Bella Thorne. She is a former Disney Channel star who joined OnlyFans in August of this year and earned $1 million on her first day. She received an outpouring of criticism almost immediately. Sex worker Aussie Rachel told Rolling Stone, "To witness a celebrity gentrifying a platform and making obscene amounts of money without acknowledging the plight of sex workers is truly a slap in the face." Another OnlyFans creator, identified only as Abby, who has been on the platform for 2 years, told New Statesman magazine, "Celebrities already have such a big platform outside of OnlyFans. So when they come to OnlyFans, they move to the top. They take these spots away from hardworking sex workers who earned that spot and probably worked up from nothing." To make matters worse for Bella Thorne, she later clarified that she joined the platform as research for a film role. This drew even further criticism. A lot of people pointed out that if she genuinely wanted to more authentically understand the ins and outs of life as an adult content creator, she could have started from scratch and done so anonymously instead of choosing to capitalize off her existing platform. One Twitter user said, "She's never going to actually know what it's like for real sex workers. The stigma, the risk of not having certain job opportunities, the actual work you have to put into it, etc. It's so fucking insulting." Meanwhile, there are people who are trying to survive. To make things even worse, yes, she made them even worse, Bella Thorne teased a pay-per-view photo of herself for $200 that she heavily implied would feature nudity. It did not. It was just a photo of her in lingerie. And so many people who paid for the photo felt that they had been scammed and lied to, that they requested refunds from OnlyFans at an alarming rate. Shortly after this, OnlyFans put into place new transaction limits, including capping the price that creators can charge for a pay-per-view photo at $50. OnlyFans has said that these transaction limits are not a result of the actions of any one user. However, it seems to be widely believed that they're at least partially connected to the Bella Thorne incident. And many smaller creators were, I believe, rightfully angry at her for this. They saw this as an already wealthy celebrity who did not need the extra income, coming onto the platform, abusing her fame, scamming her fans, and in a sense, ruining it for everyone else. Another Twitter user said, "I very rarely publicly shame people directly, but damn, Bella Thorne literally messed up the lives of a massive amount of people. There are naked pictures of her on the internet for free, but she charged $200 for pictures of her wearing lingerie. The OnlyFans platform has basically been destroyed because of her lying. Sex work is real work, and Bella Thorne just made a joke out of it and proved she has no idea what it means to be a sex worker. She disrespected every sex worker out there, and nobody will forget about this." Another influencer who I have actually talked about on this channel before, who has faced a lot of criticism for joining OnlyFans, is Caroline Calloway. Caroline joined OnlyFans in April of this year, and her shtick is that she takes nude or lewd photos dressed up as famous literary characters. Not a bad idea, I have to admit. However, she has been criticized for making a habit out of cosplaying fictional characters who are children, such as Lolita, Hermione Granger, Wendy Darling from Peter Pan. Many people see this, and I honestly have to agree, as normalizing and contributing to the sexualization of children. Even though Caroline herself is obviously not a child, she is creating sexual images of characters who are children, and that just doesn't sit right with a lot of people, including myself. Much like Bella Thorne, Caroline also received swift criticism that she is contributing to gentrifying the platform. She has been accused of joining OnlyFans for clout. On May 3rd of this year, Caroline tweeted that she was, quote, currently looking at a $233,800 annual salary from OnlyFans. This tweet was widely criticized as tone deaf and was just all around poorly received. A Twitter user quoted this and said, "I am a genuine fan of Caroline Calloway, but imagine engaging with sex work essentially for the clout and then bragging about your six-figure salary in the midst of a pandemic that has sent and will send more full-time non-influencer sex workers into profound poverty." Caroline clapped back at this, and it did not go well for her, to say the least. Imagine raising $50,000 with your writing, and instead of keeping that money, you donate it all. Then, to cover your own bills during a pandemic, you launch an OnlyFans at a price point that does not compete with sex workers, base it on a brand you spent 7 years building, and people still give you shit. Many Twitter users and sex workers replied to this tweet to clarify exactly why they were upset with her. "You have no idea the privilege and clout chasing you're doing. It's really unfair and despicable to take up space without acknowledging any of our plights as sex workers. You could at least do some research. It's also degrading saying your prices don't compete with sex workers as if you're the only one." Super cool that she'll always be able to go back to her safe middle-class life when she gets bored of LARPing as a sex worker and never actually be affected by any of the stigma that the rest of us face when seeking housing, accessing social services, etc. Caroline later tweeted, "For someone offering emotionally poignant, softcore cerebral porn, I'm basically unchallenged. And I think I may be the only person on OnlyFans with a degree from Cambridge." Those tweets were largely criticized as elitist and contributing to existing stereotypes and stigmas about sex workers. Quite honestly, I completely understand the frustration of career sex workers and non-famous people who depend completely or partially on OnlyFans for their income when people who are already wealthy or famous jump on the platform now that it's trendy, especially since many of them are in such a place of privilege that they will not have to actually experience the stigma and discrimination that most sex workers do. An article in Elle magazine, I think, summed this up beautifully. What Calloway and other celebrity drop-ins to OnlyFans fail to realize is that sex work is actual serious labor, not a bandwagon to hop on. On OnlyFans, this often means 7 days a week of work, constant posting on multiple platforms, and buying the latest lighting equipment, costumes, and sex toys. There are constantly shifting referral bonuses to consider, metrics to calculate, customized content for private DMs, and cross-platform promotions to roll out. I also want to talk about the potential cons of joining OnlyFans, as well as many of the struggles and stigmas that sex workers still face. Many of the young women joining OnlyFans seem to have a very romanticized and kind of laissez-faire attitude towards starting an OnlyFans and essentially becoming a sex worker. There's a lot of, "I'm so bored, do I start an OnlyFans?" floating around on Twitter these days. OnlyFans is very, very trendy right now, almost in the way that like TikTok and Snapchat are. And I think it's somewhat dangerous for sex work to be a trend. I have friends who teach high school and their 15 and 16-year-old students are very aware of it and really don't see it as a big deal if they want to make an OnlyFans once they turn 18. And I have mixed feelings about this because I genuinely want people to do what they want with their own bodies. And if that is starting an OnlyFans, then go for it. But I do worry about very young adults hopping on the platform, maybe because of peer pressure or because it's trendy, when they may not be fully cognizant of all the potential risks and repercussions repercussions. On one hand, sex work is clearly no longer as stigmatized and taboo as it once was. But on the other hand, it is a reality that sex work is not entirely destigmatized yet. And there are still very real struggles and repercussions that sex workers deal with. One of the biggest downsides to starting an OnlyFans is that it has the potential to disqualify you from future careers or opportunities. Now, I don't think that's right. I don't think that choosing to sell nudes in your 20s says anything about your character or your intelligence or your ability to succeed as a future doctor, teacher, or whatever you want to do. But I do think the potential ramifications are just something to be aware of. On the other hand, there is the argument that the more people who do it, the more people who say, I am going to do what I want and I should not be discriminated against for this, the more employers and the sort of powers that be will have to just accept it, and that can help lead to societal change. But I do think that anyone looking to get into sex work, even if it's just posting on OnlyFans, should be aware that sex workers face a lot of challenges and danger that people in more traditional career paths don't. It's not right, but it is true that sex workers deal with concerns for their physical safety, stalking and harassment, creepy or even violent and threatening messages, just general judgment and condemnation from people in their personal lives. The next con of OnlyFans I've already touched on a little bit, but it is the fact that it is very, very competitive. Building an audience on OnlyFans to the point that you can make a living or make good money is really difficult and is a lot of hard work. It is very, very possible, even likely, to join OnlyFans, not make very much money at all, and yet still have to deal with the potential repercussions of having done sex work. There's also the risk that people you know in real life will find your OnlyFans account or find out that you've been doing sex work. Now, I'm sure some people are open about it and don't really care, in which case those people might be very well suited for this kind of work. But I would bet that most people would not love the idea of their dad or grandma or old high school teacher finding out that they do porn. And although you can theoretically remain anonymous by taking precautions like not showing your face, there's never ever a guarantee of anonymity. Mary May, who is an OnlyFans creator in the top 2% of the site, spoke to Mashable about this. She says that she wants people to be aware of the potential ramifications of having done sex work, and that if it is not a lifelong career aspiration, it may not be for you. She says that she worries for young girls who think that OnlyFans will temporarily fix their financial situation without lasting consequences. She said, imagine the worst person to find out that you were doing sex work, and imagine that they are going to find out. How does that make you feel? Because if you're going to start, it will happen. And then you're blasted all over the internet, all your friends know about it, but you've made no money from it. She says that although she loves what she does, she's come to terms with the fact that people she knows in real life are likely to see her content and see her body. She continued, a lot of sex workers don't want to talk about the downsides of it. At the end of the day, it is dangerous. It's not for everyone. There is also the issue that although OnlyFans creators are in charge of their own content and what they want to do, how much they want to show, etc., it is very competitive, and there is the possibility that some creators will feel pressure to do more and show more in order to get an edge on the competition, and that can be a slippery slope. So I think that OnlyFans and its popularity raised some interesting questions about pornography and sex work as a whole. Whether or not sex work is female empowerment is a heated debate even among feminists. Are sex workers objectifying themselves, or are they in a way reclaiming their own sexuality in a society that will objectify them no matter what? I did watch a video from a YouTuber named Gwen who talked about why she joined OnlyFans and her experience. I'll link her video below because I think her perspective is very interesting and is worth hearing. But she actually mentioned that she had had nude photos of herself leaked a few years ago. So they were already out there, and she would get gross, creepy messages about them all the time, and it felt gross and violating because those were images that had been published without her consent. So for her, starting her OnlyFans was kind of her way of reclaiming power over that situation. Personally, I think her story makes a good case for the perspective that women will be sexualized no matter what, so it may as well be on their own terms. But no matter your perspective on all of that, I think a few things are true. First of all, that we should at the very least respect the choices that people make regarding their own bodies. boundaries and respect people regardless of those choices. And also that sex workers are an exceptionally vulnerable population and they are deserving of respect and protection. I would be remiss if I talked about this without addressing the violence and abuse that sex workers have historically been subject to and still are today. Especially Black and trans sex workers are at a far higher risk of things like stalking, harassment, assault. Sex workers have a 45 to 75% chance of experiencing sexual violence while on the job. Yet because of their profession, when they are assaulted, it's often not taken seriously. I think it's also important to note that not all sex workers are in that line of work by choice. Many of them are facing challenges such as mental health issues, abuse, drug dependency, poverty, and they turn to sex work as a means of survival. And I bring this up not to take away their agency or to make it sound like all sex workers are these desperate people, but just to acknowledge that there are a variety of circumstances that lead to people getting into sex work, and that many of them enter this industry already vulnerable because of some of those factors I mentioned. I think it's very important to talk about the troubling aspects of sex work as an industry, to acknowledge a lot of the abuse and exploitation that has taken place, and to question and critique aspects of the industry that may be harmful. But we can do that without shaming or contributing to existing prejudices against sex workers. I know this is a very topical and somewhat controversial topic, so I would love to hear you guys' opinions and input in the comment section down below. If you have an OnlyFans or if you have personal experience with the platform, I would especially love to hear your perspective. But yeah, that is it for me today. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe and to check out my other videos if you want, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.